Well, hi guys, welcome to Virtual Boeing Pilot. I've recently changed my channel name from Tom737 Fly Videos to Virtual Boeing Pilot because I had a sort of thought. I was very attracted by some videos on YouTube, and I actually decided to completely change the say the main theme of this channel. So I've now basically become a fully fledged Boeing Virtual Pilot. I fly mainly 737 NG and Classic series, which is what you'll be seeing a lot more about in just a couple of seconds. So I decided to kick off with the new year. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. And I've got myself a better computer now. I'll do a separate review on that, and I've got myself a microphone now. I've got myself a pair of good add-ons. I just wanted to, in general, refurbish my setup and clean up everything a bit because I was getting a bit more serious in making videos. So here I am. So this is actually the first full flight tutorial which I'm going to be doing. We're here on the ground at Lyon in France, and as a good short route, but good route to demonstrate how things work on an aircraft using sort of real world procedures. We're going to be flying to Pisa in northwestern Italy. So now I'm going to head to the cockpit and I'll see you then. Alright, so welcome to the cockpit of the Wilco Superguppy Evolution Boeing 737-300 cockpit. We're all fine here. It's cold and dark, so I'm just going to show you how to start this aircraft from cold and dark. So first thing that we have to do, we have to go to the overhead panel, and we have to verify that the parking brakes are on, which they are now. So we'll go to the overhead panel. So first thing we have to do is we have to supply some DC power to the aircraft. So to do that, we'll have to toggle on the battery switch by closing the guard. And there you go, the battery on the aircraft is now on. The ground power should come available in about 1 minute. While we're waiting, we'll go ahead and verify a few items. We can go ahead and set the emergency exit lights to armed by closing the guard again. Strobe anti-collision lights go on because in general these lights show that there's somebody in the cockpit, which is very important for ground crew. Go pitot static and window heat 1, 2, and 3, 4 on. I'll set the isolation valve to auto. We sitting here. Actually, I'm just going to open the door so that our imaginary passengers can come through. Sitting here at stand Charlie 61. It's a gate, as you can see. And then the nice cool thing about this aircraft is you can change from analog to digital for the engine. So I'll just keep it on digital for now. Alright. So the ground power has now come online, and we'll select that to the on position. Okay. Very good. So now we have life on the rest of our displays. Unfortunately, this aircraft does not have too much of cockpit lighting. This is actually as good as it gets. We'll select the first fuel pump, which we'll be needing then to power on the APU in a bit. Both electrical hydraulic pumps will go on, so that our first officer or pilot monitoring in this case, during his or her walk around, can go and see and verify that there aren't any leaks at the hydraulic pump. So that's the main reason why they're on. Can set the no smoking and fasten seatbelt signs to on, and we can actually start and verify all of the emergency bells and whistles work. So to go, we have to go to our radio panel console, center console pedestal, and we have to verify that the engine fire extinguishers work, so we have to test it. That's very good. All of our lights work, so here we have the fault and the fire. Oh, actually got the fuel truck. I'm just going to load 50% of fuel for today's flight. that'll be enough for today's flight. So 50, 50, 50. Okay. So that's it. We've verified that everything works. As you can see, everything's good. Let's move to our secondary overhead panel, let's say. And actually, let's move to the generic overhead panel in this case. And we can verify that the stall warning indicators work. If I remember, they're functioning. Well, they function on board this aircraft. Apparently they don't, so we can't test those. Ideally you would have to test both stall warnings and Mach airspeed warning, so which is the maximum speed in that case. Right, so while we're up here, we'll go ahead and align the IRS. So IRS number 1 is aligned, IRS number 2 is aligned. And we'll also verify that the leading edge flaps are displayed correctly, so they're just testing it. The IRS is going to come aligned in about 2 minutes, and in that period of time we can actually allow ourselves to select the yaw damper to be on. There you go. So let's go to our FMC, just check that the navigation database is correct. It's the current 2014. The aircraft model is the correct one, 737-300. We leave the engine rating to 22,000. That's all correct. Now we'll go to the position init page, and we'll select Lyon. You'd normally go to the secondary page, but you don't have the coordinates which we will put in. Those are actually the real coordinates, so we'll just take the generic airport ones. They work anyway. Let's go to the route, set the origin airport here, which has been available. Which has been available since before, and then we'll set Pisa. We're expecting runway 17 right for takeoff, so we'll say 17 right for takeoff. Just go to departure and arrival, and I'm just going to get my PDF now, which contains all the route information, and I'll see you in a minute. Alrighty, so I'm back, so let's go ahead and select our runway, takeoff runway 17 right. And according to our PDF, the departure for today is the RISOR 2 Sierra departure, which is RNAV for runway 17 right, so it's runway dependent. Go ahead and select, where is it? RISOR 2 Sierra, here it is. No transition, we'll activate it and we'll execute it. Go to our active route page, and we'll select our airway, so Upper Tango 47, okay, and then VANAS. So notice when you enter the second sort of bit of information here, the airway at the waypoint, you do have already the execute button, because normally you would have to just add one more airway in order to get the flight plan to activate, if you know what I mean. Then we'll enter the other airway, which is Upper Mike 730. Then MEDAM. Upper Papa 860. Upper Papa 860. And then RONOP. RONOP selected, and then Papa 860, and then there's the Torino VOR, which is Tango Oscar Papa. So probably going to give you the idea of our route. I'll show you in a second. Then there's Lima 50, yeah, we'll go to next page, run out of space. Then LAGEN, and whenever you have to enter an E here, I would also recommend to use the soft keys. I'm using my keyboard now, but if you press the letter E, I've noticed that it messes up the throttles and they don't move together, which is not something that you want to happen. So LAGEN, and then direct to UNITA, and then direct TIDKA, TIDKA, and then direct KONER, I don't know. Right, execute, move to the departure arrival page once again, and expecting the KONER 1 Romeo. So take KONER 1 Romeo. We'll take runway 22 left. We won't specify what type of approach because we're going to be expecting the visual for runway 22 left. It's going to be pretty dark when we get there, but it's a fun, nice night visual approach, which is nice. So let's go to the active legs, check for any discontinuities. There shouldn't be. In case there are, we know what to do. So in this case we had the KONER discontinuity. All we have to do is we have to move KONER to the place where it said then. In this case here we have 22 left, and then we move it back and then we execute. So that's it. We have no no discontinuities. I'll show you another way now that you can check for discontinuities. If you go to this aircraft, you have to press Shift and 6, and you move your PFD mode to plan, and to verify if you have any type of discontinuities. All you have to do is you open up your FMC, you go to the next page, and you can see that there's a step soft key that you can press. So basically it allows you to step through all of your waypoints which you've entered into your flight plan. So if we want to have a bit more of a broader view, let's just expand the map temporarily. We'll move it to about 60 miles range. So just step through. This is our departure. This is the RISOR 2 Sierra. We'll have a look at that. I've left some links for charts in the description. So that's it. We've already stepped through our route. Pretty short route, as you can see. It's not that much of a distance. So don't forget to reset your primary flight display map mode to whatever's preferred to you. Okay, so let's just assume that the passengers are still loading. We're still loading the passengers. So let's go to our init ref page. Again, we need some more information off of our PDF. Go to the second page. The first page. We'll enter the cost index of today. Cost index for today is 80, so 80. Cruising wind for today is, cruising altitude for today is going to be 290. Okay, so 290 is set. Reserves, we only take 1 ton of fuel, which gives us about 30 minutes reserve. Zero fuel weight. Zero fuel weight, we go to the second page and we round that up to the third page. We round that up to the nearest number, so zero fuel weight. In this case, it's 45.8. 45.8 is 46, and 46 is much closer to 50. So we know that our zero fuel weight is 50 tons. Execute. Sorry, I'm just rubbing my eye. I have a bit of a problem with my eye. I'm sorry. Right, other valuable information. I don't normally put in my cruising wind because it's very valuable. It's variable. You can always set it on later, really. And then transition altitude is 5,000. Execute that. And one limit. We'll just leave this how it is. The engine rating is correct. Then we go to our takeoff ref. Flaps are 5, set here on default. So all we have to do is we have to just select our our V1, V-rotate, and V2 speeds. And all we'll have to do there now is just set them in the MCP. We have to set the V2 speed in the MCP, so 135 knots. And then now we have to also set our trim. So set to 4.01 units. We can roughly set that. 4.1 units. Yeah, I mean 4.01 units, so we'll just leave it as it is. Alright, now we can close the doors. And we can actually get ready for departure. So at this point, we would actually be requesting an IFR clearance. So it would be something like Virtual Boeing pilot 67 Romeo, request IFR clearance to Pisa. We have its information alpha board, then they would answer. Virtual Boeing pilot 67 Romeo cleared Pisa, RISOR 2 Sierra departure, runway 17 right, initial climb 5,000 feet, squawk 1200. RISOR 2 Sierra departure cleared to Pisa, initial climb 5,000 feet, squawk 1200. Virtual Boeing pilot 67 Romeo. Okay, so what you would do actually to set an initial altitude, to remind you that you haven't had a altitude clearance yet, you would just set the transition level plus 100 feet. So we would normally set 5,100. So in this case, we've been cleared to 5,000 feet as an initial altitude, which is our transition level. So we'll set 5,000. Next thing that we can do is we can set the runway heading. Set runway heading. So in this case, I'm terribly sorry if it's all very slow. I'm just using my mouse and my mouse wheel. So the runway heading is going to be pretty close to 170. We'll set that in the heading MCP. So yeah, runway heading is 175. We'll set that in the MCP. On both course sides, on the heading, MCP heading, and on the first officer's MCP, as I was saying, on both MCP sides. Actual course is 176, I suppose, or 175. Yes, I think 175 is a lot more realistic. Okay, so the aircraft is basically ready. I've printed out some checklists here. This checklist here is nowhere near as what you would find in real life. I'm actually not going to go ahead and read it. We would just check that all of our information has been set in the MCDU. We would have checked that we have an IFR clearance, which we have received. Set the initial values here on our MCP, and we'll arm both flight directors at this point, and also in the near future, we'll set the auto thrust arm. So the jetway has been retracted, our fuel has been loaded. We can now report that we're ready for push and start. So we're going to be taxiing today to runway 17 right via Romeo 2, Romeo 1, Tango Bravo, Tango, and Hotel Boy Alpha 1. The taxiing part in general is going to be in the next tutorial. This part is just going to be just the startup of the aircraft in general. So we can now get ready for our engine start, and to do that, we can start to do that by turning on the APU. In real life, you would have to hold on the APU start switch to start position for about 3 seconds. Before you start the APU, you have to verify that the first fuel pump is selected to on. We'll wait for that EGT to come up, and then it's going to come back down again. And then we'll set here on the cabin altitude. I'll set the cabin altitude to 290. Always be sure that everything here is set to automatic, because there have been a few serious crashes when that pressurization mode has been set to manual. Because the cleaners went into the cockpit and cleaned it and touched a bunch of switches which they shouldn't have touched. I know it sounds stupid, I know, but unfortunately that's what happened. Many people died. Yeah, we don't really want to talk about this, but pretty damn terrible and very dangerous. So we'll also set our landing altitude 1,000 feet for now. APU has come online, so we'll go ahead and select both APU generators. So we're now on APU power. We can safely disconnect the ground power. As you can see, nothing happened. We'll set APU bleed and both engine bleeds to on. We'll leave the recirc fan and the left and right pack to off, Check that we have a nice dual bleed. We'll check the recall now. Yeah, master caution, everything's... It shows master caution because for a variety of factors. Both engines are off, so we have low oil pressure on fuel pumps and hydraulic pumps. Okay, auto brake set to RTO. And disconnect the parking brake, and we can push back facing the south. So we can push back facing the south. This aircraft does not have a pushback utility, so I'll just push back using the default FSX pushback. So shift P1 should get us on the way. So let's start our engines. Let's go to the engine start. The ignition left and ignition right in real life doesn't really matter, but it doesn't really even matter here. But to get both engines started correctly, we would have to move it to the correct engine that we want to start. So in this case, we want to start engine number 2 first. So all we have to do is have to move the engine 2 start switch to ground. As you can see, our N2 is coming up. About 20% N2 we can move. We can move the fuel switch to idle detent. Sorry, to what's it called again? I can't remember. To idle. Sorry, idle detent is the speed brakes. Same thing for engine number 1. Do that to engine number 1. (11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There you go. Fuel's in the engine. Let's actually stop push back here, to be honest. I don't even know where we're ending up. Yeah, right off track. Yeah, we're actually really off track. I've let myself go too much there. We're actually completely on the completely wrong taxi route. Right, so we have a positive start on both engines. Let's go to our overhead panel once again. Select both generators to on both engines, so that we're now on self-supplied aircraft power. I forgot to set the fuel pumps before starting up all engines. I'm very sorry. Yeah, so before you start your engines, you would have to have all of the fuel pumps set to on. APU goes off, and APU bleed also goes off. Left and right back on, auto, and RISOR fan set to auto. Flaps set for takeoff, flaps 5. Checked green light. Auto throttle arm goes on. We would also do a control surfaces check, so down, up, and then for left, neutral, right, neutral, left, neutral, right, neutral. Very good. So now we would request our taxi clearance. However, that, my friends, is for the next tutorial. So if you're interested in watching how to fly the Wilco and fly the 737-300, watch until the end of this video. In fact, I do like to thank you for have watched until the end of this video. It's been very nice having you on board. And I'll see you next time. Next time we're going to be covering taxi, takeoff and climb procedures for our 737. And in the meantime, be sure to ask me any questions if you're interested to know how you fly this aircraft. If you have any questions about something which I did not cover. In the meantime, before we say goodbye, we'll have to set the TCAS now to TARA. And then set the airport on our navigation display here. That will set the weather radar a lot more, yeah. this is all I'll have time for today. This is part 1. Check out for the other parts, and I'll see you next time.